What am I worth? Maybe $1.50? Maybe $1.75. I'll give myself that. What's up, Freak Out family? Your pal Al here, and today we are going to look at self-worth. What you think self-worth is, what you might think your self-worth is, and what others might think of you too. So without further ado, let's get through this. You ever had one of those days where you wake up and you think to yourself, what am I doing here? But why am I here? What do I need to be doing? Sometimes I think to myself, am I worth your time? Or more than that, am I worth my time? I don't know. We all don't know. But what we do know is this. We have to keep trying. We have to keep moving forward. Just like Mr. Walt Disney himself used to say. But how do you put a number on your worth? How do you say, this is how much I'm worth to somebody, as far as time goes, as far as value? How do I do that? Well, here's a short answer for you. You can't. You can't put a worth value on yourself. In fact, people can't put a worth value on you. And the idea of even putting a value on somebody's credibility is invalid. Here's what I mean. Your worth differs from everyone else's. Why? Because we're all different. Each one of us. We all have special things that we are able to do that others can't, or others can't do as good, or maybe you can't do as good as others. It's kind of like an old saying Albert Einstein once wrote, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. You gotta take the mind on what that means as a whole. A fish can't climb a tree. But if you tell a fish that you should climb a tree, then the fish can't climb the tree, obviously. And so the fish will think it's stupid for the rest of its life. So maybe our worth is based on what we're able to do. And there you have it. Don't think that you're worthless. Never think that. Because you're not. You're only worth the abilities that you're able to accomplish. So don't overexert yourself. Now, I don't want you to start getting the idea that I'm trying to tell you to not try. That's a different story altogether. No. You must try. To try is to succeed in something that could possibly make you better at what you're trying to accomplish. What we're talking about here today is your worth. One would feel, such as myself, on many occasions, that I don't feel I'm worth somebody's time or worth money, a monetary value of my talents that I create things for other people. Although when I do create things for other people, they tend to tell me, wow, this is amazing, I could never do that. And it tends to make me think, damn, I should have charged them for that. Maybe that's why I haven't made any money on YouTube yet. We'll think about that later. But the dictionary defines self-worth as the sense of one's own value or worth as a person, as a human being, to society, to life, to how they assess themselves as being a worthy part of society. And that basically comes down to what you think of yourself. It can't be defined by somebody else. You can't get accuracy from somebody else telling you that you're not worth anything because they're not you. You're the only one that could come up with that. You're the only one that can evaluate that. And you need to know what that worth is. But how do we do that? Well, actually, it's quite simple. You have to have a conversation with someone. That someone is your inner voice. Your inner voice is that conscience in your head, that person that's constantly telling you to try harder, to move forward, to hurry up and get up and do something, and you're gonna be late. That guy, he's kind of annoying, I know. Sometimes I really want to punch him in the face, but he's there for a reason. You have to talk to him. If you want to build your self-worth, your self-esteem up, you have to have a conversation with yourself, not with anybody else. You could ask Joe, hey, Joe, how worthy am I of being your friend? And Joe could tell you, not that good. Sorry, bro. Try harder. Make you feel pretty crappy. But instead of asking Joe, Joe, you can go now. I never really wanted to talk to you in the first place. Yeah. You could ask Joe, but I wouldn't advise it. Ask yourself instead. Ask your inner self how worthy you are of being Joe's friend. What have you accomplished lately that was brought on by yourself? Like you decided to help Joe with the yard work, clean up with Joe, or take Joe out to a movie. Joe's getting a lot of treatment here, so I hope he's happy. But be careful, because that inner voice is actually your worst critic. Yeah, he could be really nasty sometimes, like both thumbs down. It's a horrible situation. You don't want to be in there, especially you don't want to take him to a movie. He'll just down it 95% of the time. He's worthless. You want to challenge that inner voice. You want to say to the inner voice that usually will criticize you in a negative way that, listen, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do better things. You wait and see. You watch. So the best way to do that is to acknowledge and notice your suffering. You have to figure out why you feel horrible, why you feel worthless in the first place. Something happened that brought you to this point. Another thing you have to do is be kind and caring and responsive to that suffering instead of the other way around. You could make a destructive situation if you were to, be aggressive towards what is causing the problems. You ever heard of the expression, kill it with kindness? That's pretty much what you got to do here, only instead of doing it to other people or other things, you have to do it to yourself. You got to remember that imperfection is part of the human experience, the human way of life. You have to understand that we're all going to fail, that we all do fail. It's human nature. We have to fail. You have to fail in order to learn how to do something. If you take a nut and you screw it onto a bolt and you go the wrong way screwing it on, you won't be able to screw the bolt on. What happens there? You don't end up feeling like you should just end it all because you couldn't screw the bolt on, right? No, you don't. Instead, go the opposite direction. And voila, the bolt is being screwed on. Look at that. We just built something. Usually this can be accomplished by starting a task or a project, if you will. YouTubers form a great form of self-esteem through their videos. And as their videos get better in time, they learn to build more self-esteem and are able to be on camera a lot better and be able to love themselves a lot better. They have more confidence in themselves as a person. But it can go the other way around. And it's happened many, many times before. Usually because we stop listening to the inner voice, the creativeness, we stop thinking about what we could do better for our channels and all that, and we start listening to the outside world. And when that happens, our inner selves start to break down, quite drastically, I might add. And when that happens, you start to feel like you're not worth anything, especially when you start reading the comments down below. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm... Now, I'm no psychiatrist at all. Believe me, I have no paperwork that could define that whatsoever. Tried to get it online. I ended up losing $50, but that's a different story for another time as well. Again, but What I have learned in, experience is that the best combat that you could have to get past all that nastiness is to do something that is really, really simple and that we usually overlook. And it's called ignore. Oh, it works great. Somebody says something bad about you, somebody says you're ugly, somebody says you look funny, somebody says you speak weird, whatever it may be, ignore it. Instead of responding back, you just pretend like it never happened. And I know it sounds hard to do, but it's really quite simple if you condition yourself to do that. You see, when you acknowledge a bad thing in your life, anything, whatever it may be, somebody calls you a name, somebody ridicules you, makes you feel like you're less than accurate in any way, shape, or form, and let's not go there. Alright, I know what you're thinking. This is YouTube. Let's stay on track here, please. When somebody ridicules you, you tend to either follow in their footsteps with it and start to agree with them. You start to say, oh, well, maybe he's right. Maybe these glasses here they just don't make me look that delicious. Maybe I should take them off. Now I can't see. That's not gonna work. But I do look delicious, you must admit. We're losing focus here. There it is. We're back in focus. You may agree with them, and that's not good. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start heading down that hill into the treacherous, demon, hellish areas down below, and you're going to join them on that, and it's not good. It's just not good. You're gonna feel worse than you did before. You don't want to do that. Another thing is you don't want to react, because that will cause even more problems. A reaction will cause an additional reaction and an additional reaction, and usually if it starts negative, it's going to end negative. It will never get better. So you don't want to react for that purpose alone. What you want to do, like I said before, is ignore. Very simple. I've done it before. Somebody says something to you on the comments below, or if they walk up to you in your face and say it to you, which 95% of the time that doesn't even happen because they're too chicken to do that. They'd rather talk behind a keyboard. But if that was ever to be the case, then what you want to do there is just walk away. Ignore it. Forget about it. Put it out of your mind, because that's the best way to do it. Because now it won't feed into something else that's different. And one reason why we don't want to walk away is because we're afraid what we're going to look like when we do walk away. You know? What are they going to say when I walk away? What are they going to say when I leave? Who cares? You're not there anymore. It's not a big deal. Forget it. It doesn't make any sense to think about it. There's only one person you have to worry about of what they're going to say about you or how they're going to feel about you. One person. And you're looking at them. Oh, not me. I think you're great. I'll tell you right off the bat. I'm your pal Al, for Christ's sake. No. The one person that you look at in the mirror, that's the person and the only person in the world that you have to impress. Because at the end of the day, that's the only person's idea of you that matter. That's the only person that you have to deal with on a 24-hour basis. You know, we come in interaction with a whole bunch of different people all the time. But if you break it down in a 24-hour day, we either come in interaction with other people for 15 seconds, 15 minutes, or 15 hours. Not necessarily 15's a factor here, I'm just using a number off the top of my head, but you get the general idea. But there is one person in the world that you deal with all the time, and it's you. You deal with them from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. That one person, that inner thought, that inner guy, that conscious in your head is you. And it will ridicule you. It will call you names. And will do everything that everybody in the outside world does to you as well. But it can be your best friend. You just gotta know how to talk to it. That person will become your ally. The person that is always in your head talking to you all the time, telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, or what you look like when you look in the mirror. If you're pretty, if you're not pretty, whatever. That person will eventually become an ally where you'll be thinking that you are worth something, that you are gorgeous. Well, that's what I like to call myself. If you haven't noticed that yet. I do that quite a bit. Growing up, I was ridiculed a lot when I was a kid. I went to a private school because my parents wanted me to have better education than a public school. Back then, that's how they thought. Which, nowadays, I don't think that way, because I've seen it. I've lived on both sides of the fence. I've been to public schools, I've been to private schools, and let me tell you, when I was at a private school, I was a public school kid in a private school. It's not a good combination. I had the rich boys, the rich girls, the higher-ups, if you will, looking down on me all the time, thinking that I wasn't worth anything. But look at me now. I'm famous on them YouTubes. I'm joking. I'm kidding. Not quite yet. You guys have to help me out with that. No, I used to be ridiculed a lot, and I had to learn how to build my self-esteem up as much as I possibly can to surpass that. If you're sad, if you're upset, if you think you're worthless, everyone around you will follow suit. They will think you're worthless too. Believe me. They always do. But if you think that you're confident, if you think that you are worth something, if you think that you are a human being that belongs on this earth and you have a purpose, everyone around you will agree with you. And life will be great. Somewhat. Until you meet up with the bad seeds. I hate those guys. So in closing, I'd like to say that if you're having problems, think about the problems that you're having, because most likely the problems you're having is easily corrected. You don't have to go to the extremes. You could just ignore the outside world and get back to what's important. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, the only person's opinion that matters is the person who's staring back at you in the mirror. If you enjoy these videos, you want to see some more of them, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button, so that you can be here every time one of these videos drop. And also go on the other adventures that will soon be coming, as soon as this whole thing lifts up and we're able to go back to the parks. I can't wait. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that this video is pretty cool and other people should see it. And, you know, look for people who will build your self-worth up with you. There are other people out there. Those people are called friends. And if you want some advice on that, I have a video on it. I think it's pretty good. You see, that's self-worth right there. See what I did? Until next time, guys, remember, life is what you make of it, so make it a good one. And we'll see you real soon.
I'm gonna be famous on them YouTube.